Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Academy podcast. My name's AJ Willoughby. Glad to be back with you all again. Again, the Leadership Academy podcast is brought to you by Titan Media Works. Titan Media Works, they are the podcasting easy button. You know, if you're looking for the easy button to get into podcasting, get in where you just go in and you have fun doing a show. Let someone else worry about all the hassles of production and editing and getting up on the internet. Check them out. Titan Media Works with an X, WORX.com, and they can help you. All right, now let's get on with the show. I'll tell you, I've been working trying to get this guy on the show for a while, and him and I, we've been hitting back and forth with things, and one thing led to another as far as little things that delayed it. But finally, the time has come. The day is here. A few technical issues on the way into here, but finally, I get a chance to have Joe Martin on the hook with us today. Joe, he is from Chicago. He's a business growth consultant. He helps companies align their messaging, and he's built and exited two different companies. He's got a whole bunch of innovative ideas. He's been around for quite some time. He's been featured on WGN, Fox, and also TEDx Stage, which I had a chance to watch one of his speeches on that. Great job on that. His portfolio includes, he's been working with people from like McDonald's, Anheuser-Busch, Microsoft, and a bunch of other big guys. He served as a judge for Google Startup Weekend events. Going to want to ask a little bit about that as we go. And mentored students. So in his spare time, he's playing ice hockey, performing music all around. He used to tour on the road. He's done all kinds of stuff, helps raise money for the American Cancer Society. Joe, it is great to finally get you on the show.
It is so great. You don't know this about how often I walk around saying your name. Since I'm just pronouncing your last name is so fun. It's just Willoughby. Willoughby. And I try to get it to roll off the tongue a little Willoughby. Like I've been walking my whole life as just Joe Martin. It's one step above a John Smith. But AJ Willoughby. It's so fun.
Well, but yeah, it's I don't know. I guess it's English. English and Irish kind of combination is what it is. English Irish meets the Western side. you know, so this is
Perfect description.
if you take your proper Englishman and mash it up with an Irishman and then throw him on the back of a horse, this is what you get.
I hope everyone listening gives it a shot as well. Go ahead with me. Willoughby. Willoughby. It's so fun.
Willoughby.
It's got to roll like Louisville. Like Louisville.
Louisville, yeah. Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah.
AJ, thank you for having me.
Joe, tell us a little bit about what it is you're doing. People you're working with, kind of briefly your journey to where you're at today.
Yeah, built that agency, had the chance to work on big projects, sold that agency, built a digital product. We had that product acquired 6 months after we launched. And then that product was in the tourism space. So I was excited kind of after we sold that product to get back into tourism until the pandemic came along and said, no,
That was a really good thing, I'm sure. Tourism and the pandemic, that really helped the pocketbook a lot.
Oh, so long to recoup as well. Especially, I've got a little niche carved out in tourism. We work with a lot of food tour companies, which, if you've never taken a food tour, my God, there are food tours in almost every city now where they just take you to some of the best restaurants to try the best food. Please go check out food tours. Or if you're looking to do a corporate event food tours are awesome as well. So I was in that. So food tours, long time to recover post-pandemic, but then all the problems restaurants had getting back off the ground as well, getting the staff in and everything. And so I started consulting with companies on writing a great first sentence. Because if the first sentence is wrong, it is incredibly hard to lead your team in the right direction.
Yeah. All right. So explain that. Writing the first great sentence. This is your tagline. Who it is, your name, and then blankety blank, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So fill us in on what are the issues that you're seeing with that? What is it? I mean, to give us a story. You were telling me a story a little bit ago.
Yeah, we've got
Fill me on that.
there was a cannabis delivery company that we worked with, and their first sentence was delivery in 60 minutes, which you don't just need to take Domino's and make it your own slogan and slap your own time on it. What is your value? What are you really providing is what we want to come across in that first sentence. And for them, by the time we looked at their target customer, who's 57-year-old Cheryl, who lives in a wealthy neighborhood, who's going to order in advance and buy in bulk for her and her husband, she doesn't give a shit if she gets her weed in 60 minutes. It wasn't the value they needed to chase down. They weren't putting it out there. And because of that, every day at the company was rush, 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 go, 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 hurry, hurry, get this there in 60 minutes. And they were chasing a value that didn't mean what they needed it to the customer. And so taking the time to really figure out what do we sell? What problem are we solving? How do we communicate this to people? Completely changes the entire organization. It changes where you're spending your time marketing, how you're delivering on that value, who you're hiring to be part of that value, your culture internally. So much stuff determined by one damn sentence. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it is amazing the number of companies. And I've been involved with a lot of different companies. I've got several right now, and it is something that you can get really hooked up on, in your values and in what it is that you're saying about yourself, that's what everybody falls in line behind, and that may not even be the important aspect of
Oh,
what it
and
is you
Mark,
do or what's going to be bringing
yeah,
you the income.
and marketing companies tout it as well. What I see, the big mistake I see a lot is that companies build from the company out. And then that's supported when you go to work with a lot of traditional marketing companies because they're in companies say, AJ, great, what do you do? How do you deliver on it? What is your mission? What are your values? No, I don't care about any of that. Who are we selling to? We just need to build from that person in. It's a way more direct line when you try to go from who am I selling to and what do they need to hear, as opposed to what is all the stuff we can offer that we can possibly do, and building from that company out mindset. It needs to be customer in, and everything becomes so much easier. Oh,
You know, you made a good point. Talking about 57-year-old Cheryl and narrowing that down to who that specific person is. And what you're saying as far as your values and everything. And I know everyone says, "Hey, you got to have your values in line for your company." Well, yeah, you do, but
after you're
just
making
like you
money.
said, yeah, yeah, start making the money. You got to know who first. Who is your client? And does your values line up with making money for your client? Why are we in business?
Yeah,
And are we in business because I want to do good? Well, of course, we all want to do good,
yeah.
but
Great. We
I
just
want.
had yeah, there's a company we just worked with, and they were promoting this idea of, oh, we're family owned. We're locally operated. We've been around for 80 years. And my response was, don't care, don't care, don't care. Like none of these things are moving the needle when it comes to messaging. And so
Yeah.
when we started working with them, they came and they said, hey, we want new messaging that's they have health food stores around Chicago. And they're saying we need messaging that's going to have someone drive out of their way to come to our store. We want them to happily spend more at our store, and we need them to keep coming back. And oh, by the way, our competitors are Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, GNC, and Vitamin Shop. So it's like, okay, guys, all right. I don't know if messaging can solve all of these problems for you. But what we found out was it's about getting them into the right conversation. What is that target customer talking about when they think of that store? And what we found for them is a conversation that these big stores can't have. And
Yeah.
so now they're leaning into this conversation of allergy safe groceries for your child.
Ah.
That's going to get her drive out of her way for 40-year-old Lisa. She's going to happily spend more because now she's not going to three different stores trying to get stuff for her kid. And she's going to keep coming back because it's a value prop they can deliver on. Because every
And
time you go, they have it.
it's something also that ties in emotionally with people.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, all right. So say the line again because I'll say it and I'll
Yeah,
screw it up.
allergy safe groceries for your child.
Allergy safe groceries for your child. That's a hard time. I mean, yeah. That is something that will pull you in and that you'll go out of your way for, as opposed to the
Natural and
best
organic
prices.
health food. Yeah.
That's a
Or,
commodity. Yeah,
yep.
that's just another product. What are they gonna do with that? For the other stuff, what they're gonna do is they're gonna shop price. Yeah, price it, and nearest location. But now when you're tugging on the emotional and you're tugging on some that speaks to your specific person, now they're gonna drive out of the way for it.
Hmm.
And they're not gonna worry about the cost.
Yep.
That's that
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
cha-ching, now you have the same widget and as your competitor, but you're able to charge more because you've got a reason.
We've
That
connected why. We've connected why 40-year-old Lisa wants to shop here. Why is it actually important? And that whole concept of choosing one person, so many companies are so afraid to pick one person because they feel like, well, if I pick Lisa, then Stephanie's not going to come to the store. It's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't work like that. Like we pick one person because when we can get it down that specific, we can understand the real emotional motivators, the psychological behaviors that we're trying to change and how to impact that. And that's going to apply to so many other people that I compare it a lot. I compare it to Adele, AJ, and that Adele didn't write a love song for a million people. She wrote it for one, but a
yeah,
million people still connect with it. Do
yeah.
that. Do that with your messaging. Do that with your business.
Okay, so you're talking to a client, they coming to you and they're saying, "Hey, we need to figure out our messaging." Where do you start them out?
Defining one person. That is the first step. We're going to pick one person, and some of those criteria that I want to look at is it's someone we can actually acquire. It's someone who's going to spend the most per transaction with us. It's someone who's going to keep coming back and spend even more money with us. It's someone that has a referral network that can tell other people about us, and it's someone we actually want to work with. It's someone that we want to service. It's who this was built for to be a part of. And let's go after that person. If we're going to put effort towards winning someone, let's win that person. We're still going to get other ones. That's fine. They're still going to come in. But if we're going to apply effort, why not apply effort towards the most valuable prospect?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's something that they get too wrapped up in an age demographic and an age range. I'm looking for 25 to 50-year-olds. I'm looking for anyone can shop with us. We're open.
The
We
worst
supply everybody.
answer. Oh,
Yeah,
the worst answer. I don't want to focus efforts on 23-year-old Michael who's just coming in to buy some vitamins. Like he'll probably come in anyways. But why don't we get Lisa who's got a family of 5 that she's going to buy for? Let's
but
go for that.
Joe, now I'm leaving out all the 40-year-olds and all the 25-year-olds that could be shopping with us as well. Why
Mm.
would we do that?
Yeah, you're right. We should go back to just trying to talk to everyone so we talk to no one.
Absolutely. And that's what they do. That's what they do. So,
Hmm.
all right. So tell you what, we're spending a lot on marketing, which is awesome, which is really good, especially for the show. But um, let's get into some leadership concepts now.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
the messaging part's needed if we're going to lead correctly. Like, otherwise, that leading component gets just confused and obfuscated inside of there. When then we're chasing down what value to try and do. We're pushing people further and having them do things they don't need to do. We have people wasting their time chasing down terrible marketing directions towards 23-year-old Michael that then has no results because we didn't sit down and think about it to begin with, and we just ran with our eyes closed to see what was
yeah.
going to work. And my big thing on this leadership side, AJ, it's wasting time. I don't want to waste anyone's time. It is too damn precious. And that comes from people we're marketing to, as well as people that work at the company.
Now we're talking about strategic leadership. That's
Hmm.
exactly when you start narrowing everything down and you start understanding that concept from your messaging to your people, your messaging to your staff, your messaging to who you are as a person, you know, you can get very strategic. You're wanting to become a leader, you're wanting to grow in that. Get specific with what you're trying to do. You know, I talk to people and they're like, "Yeah, AJ, talk to me about leadership. Talk to me doing this." And it's like, "Well, tell me about you. Where you want to go?" And it is, "Oh, I just want to be no, I want to run a company. I want to like, gee whiz, I want to talk to everybody." We're back to that whole thing again, and
Yep.
you've got to narrow that down for you as well. What do you enjoy? What is those specifics to where you've got that narrowed in niche for yourself for the same reason, just like you do from a marketing standpoint. That's how you can get more strategic in your leadership, and you do things with purpose.
Everything I was reading, in terms of conversion rate optimization, in terms of jobs to be done, it all came down to who's the person that we're servicing to begin with. And what I started seeing was the more I looked at this marketing component of, how do I get someone, how do I influence someone? Like it's like we said, it's not just price. Price is cheap. That's not going to motivate them to come in and buy and really affect that marketing side. And then I took those same principles and said, well, how does this apply to my team? Because just paying them isn't enough. That's the same as just trying to get someone to buy on price. And so I started looking at more of just, yeah, well, then how am I providing more for my team? What kind of leader am I being to them? What kind of environment are we creating? That it was some
Mhm.
of those same principles that just applied because it's people. It's all people.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, let's switch gears for a second. You've got a book you wrote called the 6 week cycles.
Hmm.
6 week cycles, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off of work. All right. So explain the concept real quick, and then I'm going to ask you how in the world is a company supposed to run when they're doing this. So tell the concept first.
Yep. I mean, work for six and then 2 weeks off, 2 weeks downtime in between. And the idea is we're using those 2 weeks to make sure the next 6 weeks are planned and run as smoothly as possible. I know in week 5 on Thursday, I'm going to have a meeting about this specific thing. Like it is all so mapped out so that we're not wasting time. So we're not chasing down ideas. And a lot of it's insulation from me as a leader because I'm the one who controls everything at this company. And there were so many times when I would come in and say, oh man, we're doing this. Oh, we got to do this now. And hurry quickly. We got to move on this. And one of the
Mhm.
things 6 week cycles does, it locks me out. I can't come make changes during those 6 weeks. Everything is set. Joe, you think we need to do something different? The company is not going to fall apart in 6 weeks. We'll talk about it on that 2 week break. And then we'll figure out what needs to be done. Why does it need to function? And so many times we'd get to that 2 week break, AJ, and I'd be like, oh, wasn't that important? I guess we didn't really need to do that. So good thing we didn't. So
Yeah.
it started to box me out and to work this way. I mean, I redid the whole business model. It comes down to all the way of what we're selling, the value we're putting out there, how we position it, how we talk about it. And what's crazy is we've never had a client complain about it. No client has ever come back and said, no, you need to work over those 2 weeks. I'm not settling for this. They all say okay. And I think they like the break because they meet
Yeah.
with us weekly during the cycle. And so when we're off cycle, they get 2 weeks of not talking to us. I think they enjoy not having that meeting.
Well, now, how does a business owner do that? That's trying to run a company. That's maybe they're dealing with a small staff, or maybe they're just so entwined in it, so many different things, which is another problem. I'm jumping ahead here for a second. The difference between working on your business and working in your business.
Yep.
But working for 6 weeks, and then so what are you doing for 2 weeks? Going on vacation?
I mean, I do most of the time. One of my guys, at one point, he had to have his gallbladder removed, and he pushed off the surgery until the 2 week break. It was incredible. So he had his gallbladder out the first week of the break, used the second week of the break to like heal up, and then he was back and ready to go by the time that next cycle started. It was crazy. But what we're doing in that time is we're mapping out every client project. Uh,
Mm.
sometimes things run over, and then we get to tidy that up in that little 2 week break as well. Like, oh man, that thing didn't get done. The client pushed off those meetings. They had an emergency. They had to reschedule. Great. We still got that little bit of buffer to make sure things are on track, and that we can set clear expectations with everyone, which I think is one of the most important components of being a leader is clear communication. Every problem I hear about at so many companies is usually based around communication. Just things weren't communicated, expectations weren't set, and I wanted to fight that every way I could.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about communication. Leaders probably struggle big time with communication, especially with their staff, with their team. Um, they're so used to giving orders and just saying, "Hey, go about things this way," and then you've got the team going, "Well, why?" "Well, because I said we got things to move on." Uh, let's talk to us about communication.
Yeah, I mean, we loved that reasoning as a child, right? Every time a parent said, "Because I said so," we were like, "That makes sense. I'm going to fall in line and do it right now." You're right. You said so. Let me do it.
Exactly.
The one that I think that we start to drift apart from, and especially now with more distributed teams, is this lack of empathy, and that we don't see each other as much, we don't get to talk as much. And so, if there is one thing that I could ask someone who's listening to this right now to start doing with their team, it's a meeting that we have every Friday. It's a 1 hour long meeting. It's called our checkout meeting, and we only do it on cycle. So when we're off cycle, we don't have this meeting. But on cycle, every Friday, we sit down, we spend 2 minutes in silence, and everyone writes down what went well that week. And then we share it,
Hmm.
including myself. And then we spend another 2 minutes, write down what didn't go well, and we share that amongst everyone. And it's my chance to hear the real frustrations, the real stuff that I need to pay attention to that's affecting them on a behavioral and emotional level is what I get out of that meeting. And what I think I see at a lot of companies is they're afraid to listen to their employees. They're afraid of what they're going to say because they know
Yeah.
there's so much stuff going wrong. They'd rather just say, "Here, go fill out this form. Go fill this out and tell me your general thoughts in a multiple choice document so I can get a net promoter score to see how my
Yeah.
team is doing," instead of taking the time to sit down and listen to them. They will tell you what they want. And it's the same thing back in marketing. I need to sit down and talk to customers to get some of that feedback to figure out what we can do, how we can innovate, how I can do better for the customers. It's the same thing. We just need to do it for employees, and that gets skipped so damn much. That's
Yeah.
that's the one thing I'd love for someone to start doing is just having that meeting once a week with your team.
People, they get into this aspect of, I just like you said, I don't know that I want to hear everything because then what's it going to be? Then it's going to be a complaining session. Nothing but a bitch session. That just from everyone just going on about what's going on wrong in the company, and then all they're going to do is they're going to gang up on me. So we got to keep our meetings positive. We got to keep talking about the good stuff. We can't get into any of the dirty stuff with the team and with the staff. But then they're missing what's going on. How do they filter all that stuff out?
I love what you just mentioned there, calling it a bitch session. Because yes, I agree. And AJ, it turns out sometimes people just want to bitch. Sometimes they just want to say, "This sucked. This was awful." And for someone to say, "I hear you. It did. I'm sorry that sucked." And then they can say, "Okay, thanks." And they can go on with
Yeah.
it. It doesn't always mean we need to take action on those things. Sometimes people just want to get that stuff out, but are we giving them a spot to do that? Do we have anywhere where someone can say this sucked and for someone to hear them? And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that comes out of those meetings is we get that chance to just say this. And we're also at the same time I'm forcing my team to look back on their week and also look at the things that went well. They may not do that. Without having time set aside to do that, I think a lot of us just blow past our weeks. And then you remember the bad things and you don't get the chance to celebrate those good things that came out. And what's messed up on this one, AJ, is I've brought this one all the way home. My partner and I do a weekly checkout meeting on cycle as well. That her and I sit down together at the end of a week, find somewhere nice to go outside, go by the lake or something, and then tell each other what went well and what didn't go well. And I learn new things about her. We talk every day, but then there's things that come up at that time that she's like, I was proud of this. I was proud that this happened. And it's like, man, that's really great to know. I wouldn't have known that otherwise.
I think that's really actually a great idea when you're having those sessions. Make it a combination. Allow it to be not really. Granted, I know no one wants a bitch session, but allow them to voice what's wrong, but have a time in there. It's like, hey, this is the time we're going to talk about things that are going wrong, and now let's talk about the things that are going right. Yeah, that way you keep the staff in balance. You keep everybody in check of it at the same time. But the fact that they're getting to be heard, because that is one of the things I think that a lot of staff feel like is, hey, leadership isn't listening to me. And I've got ideas, I've got things, I've got stuff that's going wrong, but no one out there is going to listen to me. So why does it matter? Give them a chance to voice and actually listen, write it down, follow, and say, okay, so what I hear you're saying is this. And so we need to figure out some solutions for that. That's some good things. Maybe we look at how we can solve it right away. Maybe it's something that, hey, you know what? We're going to have to sit on this and we're going to have to ponder this and figure this out. You're right. It's an issue. We don't, you don't always have to have a solution right
Mm-hmm.
then.
No, and sometimes it's going to be, hey, let's look at that on the break. That's a really good point. That next 2 week break coming up is going to be the perfect time for us to dig into it and figure out how to make the next cycle suck less. And
Yeah.
that has been an ongoing process for 8 years that I've been doing this now with my team.
That is a great thing. Make this next part suck less. You're going to continue getting better and better and better. All
Yep.
right. So we know. And granted, yeah. Hey, are we better today than we were yesterday? And that's one
Hmm.
thing. I've always, with my teams, I've talked about. Hey, is we're not going to be perfect. We're always going to strive for excellence. The goal is, can we be better today than we were yesterday? Yesterday we may have sucked. Can we suck less?
Hmm.
You know, and
Yeah.
with going into the attitude of, hey, that's our goal is we're gonna we're gonna try to be better better tomorrow than we are today, better today than we were yesterday. We're gonna continue to try to work to suck a lot less. And one of these days, we're all gonna be at this place of whoa, and it's because of the whole team working together,
Yeah.
and it's striving for that excellence. Again,
I,
we're
I
never gonna
compare
hit
it.
perfection.
Yeah. I compare it to meditation. It's a practice. It's
Yeah.
not something we're perfecting. There's no end goal here. A cycle is never going to go perfectly, but we have the systems in place to cradle it when it doesn't go well, to make
Yeah.
sure that it's not impacting everyone's life. So no one has to work weekends. So I don't have to be hitting people up at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night to say, I need you to do this for me right now. Like it's
Yeah.
planned. It's planned. I like a good predictable workday, AJ. And predictable work days are absolutely possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we're running down on time. Actually, we've gone way past, but again, it's the podcast world. It's not radio or TV. So we don't have someone sitting there at the cue card saying, you're over time, cut it. But at the same time, all right. I leave everybody with the same question here. And I want to ask you, if there was a piece of advice that you could have had at the very beginning of your journey into where you are today and in leadership that would have possibly either changed the trajectory, moved things along faster, or saved yourself a lot of headaches had you have had this advice in the very beginning, what advice would that be?
I had an employee come to me one time, one of my developers, on a Friday at 3 o'clock. And he's like, Hey Joe, I finished all my work. What else do you have for me to do? And I shuffled around. Looking for shit. What can I have you work on? Because you owe me 2 more hours of your time before you can leave. And it was at that moment that he has a 4-month-old daughter at home who has food allergies at the time. And they were trying to figure out what's wrong with her. Everything they're giving her is causing these reactions. I realized there was nothing at that moment I was going to give him that was more valuable than him going home and being with his daughter. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready for it. And I think that the biggest piece of advice is making sure that I'm in the right place. You're in the right place as a leader, that you know what people have to do and you know how time needs to be used, that the workday is malleable. I can move it. I've made my workday work for 6 weeks and have 2 weeks off. It can change. We don't need to be in this 9 to 5 rigor. And I think I spent a long time that I left corporate to then just start building a new company that was a mimic of corporate. And let's not do that, everyone. The workday is malleable. Let's move it. Let's conform it. Let's bend time to do what it needs to do for us.
That's good. That's really good. So important. Joe, you've got a book. You're also dealing with clients. How first off, tell us if they wanted to get the book, how would they get the book?
Go ahead and take a run over to 6weekcycles.com.
6weekcycles.com.
Mm-hmm.
SIX week or the number 6 week, or does it matter?
No, come on. I bought both. I bought both, AJ.
Yeah. So, all right, 6weekcycles.com. Now, as far as if someone wants to talk to you about other things, if they want to, some consulting work, how do they do that?
Yep. MartinChicago.com. Joe Martin, and I live in Chicago. MartinChicago.com seems to make sense. Love this city.
There we go. Awesome. Joe, this has been great. This has been fun. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
AJ Willoughby, this has been fun as well, sir.
You've been listening to the Leadership Academy podcast. My name is AJ Willoughby, and we are... before I forget, our sponsor, I'm going to get hit. The sponsor is Titan Media Works. Check them out. Titan Media Works, WORX.com. They are the easy button. There it is. They are the easy button for your podcasting. You want to get into podcasting, but you don't like the editing. You don't like the production, or maybe you like it. You just don't have the 5 to 6 hours you got to spend on every single show of doing all that kind of stuff, and then getting it up on the internet.
And don't throw it. Don't throw it on one of your employees who's not a specialist at that. Just go hire the specialists.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. So let them help you. TitanMediaWorks.com. They're the easy button. I'm going to get in trouble for saying the easy button. In fact, they've even said, AJ, you got to be careful. That's someone else has got that copyright.
It's an established tagline. It's a rather established time.
It really is.
We'll give you that.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, no. Titan Media Works. Just do it. There we go.
Yeah. Just do it. No one's using that.
Nah.
That's the way to go. All right. Just do it. TitanMediaWorks.com, WORX.com. We're going to be shot. We're going to be sued. And no, we're not. I'm not going to let that happen. We'll come up with a different, we got to work on the first sentence that I need to be saying. They keep telling me, AJ, this is what to use. And I never can, they keep saying, use this. Well, anyways, I don't know. I keep saying, what I got's better. Yeah. So, Joe, thank you. Until next time, everybody, have a great day, and we'll see you again.